Technology and the marketplace are always changing, and having the right equipment can make or break an operation. Providing the most reliable, safest, and performance-driven products is at the forefront of everything Demco does. Good evening and welcome to Rural America Live. I'm Tammy Arender. Demco works to provide the best products out there without compromise, from ag and towing to brake manufacturing, all while putting people first. So I want to welcome in President of Demco Manufacturing, Bob Kerselman, and Executive Vice President of Demco Manufacturing, Kevin Tenhaken. Thank you both for being here today. Great meeting you. So good to have you in the studio. I can't wait to hear more about your company. But first, I just want to hear about you. Let's introduce ourselves.
All right, Bob Kerselman. I'm the president. Third generation. My granddad started it back in the 50s. I actually started as an Chalmers dealership, and so I've had the privilege of really growing up in the company. You can see a picture there of my granddad, Robert Dethmers. That was the downtown, the first office. That building was built in 1946, and so I remember sitting by him when I was 5 or 6 years old in that office setting. Started sweeping floors and cleaning bathrooms at the age of 12. I don't know that we could do that anymore today, but it was really a philosophy of learning the business from the floor up. So I've had the privilege of really working in almost every department in the company.
Right, very strong work ethic, family values, very important. Kevin, what about you? How did you come to be in the company? Tell us about yourself.
Yes, I came into the company probably through the family at the time. So Bob, myself, brother-in-laws, married a sister, really started officially in 1986, May. And prior to that, a little bit like what he said, working somewhat in the production, maybe on Saturdays, sometimes during the summer months off between school year, Christmas breaks, those kind of things, to just get a basic understanding of the business. And really started out in 86 in the purchasing department. I remember the conversation with his dad pretty well at the time of coming to meet my wife and I for dinner on a Thursday evening and said, we have a purchasing position open, and we'd love to have you in the business. You got the weekend to think about it. Let us know on Monday. And Jim was not he didn't take very long to make decisions, so that was kind of the beginning of the start to coming into Demco. So.
Right. And this is in Iowa. So you guys have known each other most all your lives, and now in business together.
Yeah.
Talk about the history and the why. I guess I'm curious, did you ever find out why Grandpa wanted to start this business?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, in the 40s and 50s, it was actually Dethmer's implement, and was an Chalmers dealership. And really wanted to bring innovation and a change to the farm. And so they first started with an electric or a live clutch on a WC and WD Chalmers tractor, and then went into a hand conversion from the hand brakes into a foot pedal, brake pedal conversion, and then started into fertilizer application equipment, taking 55-gallon drums and mounting them on planters, manufactured the fertilizer shoe, and so there was fertilizer application. Started with squeeze pumps for the application of the fertilizer on the planters. From there went into herbicide and insecticide boxes, mounted them on either in the picture there, mounted on a 6-row row crop cultivator, but also had those available on planters. You can see in the background the little fiberglass tanks, side mounted on tractors. There is a picture there of the squeeze pump if you look careful on the right hand side of the row crop cultivator. And so just a lot of innovation early on with the fertilizer application and how to carry the product, how to apply the product, and was having much more fun doing that than selling the implements. And so in 1958 sold Dethmer's implement and started manufacturing full time. 1964 incorporated as Dethmer's Manufacturing Company. So next year, in 2024, we'll be celebrating our 60th year.
Wow, so impressive. I mean, what an innovator, and probably at the time, very, very cutting edge to see a need and go in there and say, I'm going to find a solution for that, for the folks that live here. Kevin, you talk about the core values and the principles of this company, obviously founded on family, very strong work ethic. Talk about some of those core values and principles that have been passed down through the generations.
Yeah, I think back in the days of Bob's grandpa, and I think with Jim and Ken too, there was always that instilled value of family first and taking care of people, and just how that became instrumental in all of their daily decision making, really, to be honest. Not until probably the last, dozen or so years where we took more of a move to establish the mission, vision, values that you see in many companies. And for us, the values go along with STRIVE, and that's the service, teamwork, respect, integrity, vision, and excellence. But to kind of summarize that a little bit, I think really where we would say it's probably, you can put that down to something understood: faith, family, and fun.
Right. And fun. I love that you add the fun in there.
Well, we always say too, if you can't have fun doing work and doing business at Demco, maybe you're not at the right place. So faith is integral to what we do, and we try to project that in our daily lives as well. And not just a Sunday faith, but make it a everyday faith.
Right. And business is hard these days. A lot of challenges in running a business. But do you think those values impact the way you run business today?
It becomes integral to doing business. It really has to be who you are. You can't be somebody different when you're at work versus what you are during your daily life. And we say that often, how we project ourselves. We're in a small community. Boyd and I are only 700 people. So you're visible to many. And, just how we conduct ourselves, I think, is really ultimately important. And it really says a lot about the character and certainly back to those values we are as Demco.
Right. Well, it shows. As a matter of fact, some of your employees, they have made it clear that they love working there and that those values are very important to them. Let's hear some of what they have to say about working for Demco.
I've been here for 17 years. CI is continuous improving. We use it every day. Last week, we moved a jig from one side of our area to the other side of the area. It just freed up some space and made it easier to weld on so we could do it more efficiently. I love working here. I've been here for 17 years. It's been a great experience. Very family orientated and big family company.
Got to make you feel good to hear that straight from the mouth there. Right. Bob, talk about that. And are there advantages to having a family-owned and operated business?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's we talk about it often with our people about the importance of them being part of Demco, and you're not just a number here. You have a mind. You have an opinion. We want you to share that. Ryan Smith was on 17 years. He's worked with us, and he talked about continuous improvement, and so those are things that are really important that we embrace every day. That if fix what's frustrating you is a saying that we often say, whether it's in the accounting role or in the back in the welding or fab or paint or salesman, whatever that might be. If you're frustrated by part of your job, let's help fix that. And so I think that just being connected with family and the importance of family and the people, and really looking at our employees as extended family.
Well, and the fact that you're saying, hey, I hear you, I see you, and I respect what you have to say. You may not always agree, but you say, I respect what you have to say, and you have input in this business. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Talk about the generations. I know succession planning can be challenging. Everybody wants it to pass it on to the next generation, but how do you ensure a smooth transition?
So we have maybe a little bit of a formal plan and somewhat of an informal plan. Kevin and I have talked about this for quite some time, about introducing our family, if they wanted to be part of Demco, that they would work really kind of from floor up, or understand many parts of the business, that it's not just going to be given that you're part of the management team or part of the ownership team. And so my son, JC, is part of both the ownership and management team now. But he's learning the business from ground level up, and talking and communicating with the employees about continuous improvement. He's passionate about that, gaining the respect of employees on the floor, whether it's a cohort or someone that they're just trying to help out with continuous improvement. But it's important to really gain the respect of the people. Understand that it's not about the decisions that just the management team makes. It's the decisions that the people at Demco make. And, we depend on them to have a mind, to have an opinion, and to help lead us for many years to come. And so at that, kind of setting the groundwork for what is being done today, then tomorrow, what does tomorrow look like, and next year? And there's not a definite timeline of transition of ownership. He already has some ownership. There may be opportunities for other family members moving forward, but we're a patient company. We don't move quickly in our decisions, and just really treating our family and the rest of Demco with the level of respect, and when that time is right, we'll know.
You mentioned the fact that when you were young, you swept the floor, you cleaned the place, you did some of the menial jobs that have to be done in any business. How did that benefit you in your role today, being able to start kind of at the ground level, so to speak?
I think a big part of that is just appreciating, when I was 12 years old, I didn't appreciate cleaning the bathrooms and sweeping floors. But it's having an appreciation for that part of the job that's getting done today, and understanding that it takes many people in many different roles to ultimately make us successful.
Right. Very good. Kevin, talk about you've been with the company, so many years now. You obviously have some success stories or maybe some memorable moments. What stands out in your mind over the last few years working for this company?
Yeah, there's a lot of those, but we'll touch on a few, and some of them were really evidence to me even before I stepped into the company itself. And I hear this mentioned back with family when Jim and Ken were faced with a trial back in the early 80s. There was the farm economy was pretty suspect at the time, and it was rather tenuous, to the point where they were having to make a decision whether the company was going to sustain itself. And a individual came with an idea for a car caddy, and just nobody had any concept of that even would take off. But that propelled the company to diversify from strictly ag at that time. And that was a saving grace for Demco, really, to be honest. And that led us, and our minds, I think, opened up to the fact that diversification is not a bad thing. It really helps meld out some of the bumps and humps that occur in any particular industry, including just ag. Another one was the 1985 Iowa Small Business of the Year Award for Demco. Jim and Ken looked to, as you see a picture here with the governor, that was a pretty good celebration, for our company at the time. So in 1988, initiated an ESOP. We diversified into trailer products at that time too, and that was born out of necessity. We had a supplier, and here we see a picture of a hydraulic surge brake actuator and one of the components, and that was really where we had to do something different because we weren't supplied with timely product. And we took the idea, we could probably, let's see if we can build this. And it really spawned another segment to who Demco is today. Some management changes where Jim and Ken, we talk about that transition for us as third generation owners, ESOP, so some value for the employees at the time, becoming ownership aspect through an ESOP program. So that was put into place, and that was really, again, to take care of people.
Right, and being in that small community and realizing that the employees there's a safety and security that comes along with working at Demco, isn't it?
Yeah. Bob mentioned fourth generation. I now have a son that's in the business here too in the last year. He serves in the IT department, so it's really a joy to see, those that want to come in the business like he spoke of, now stepping into and being a part of it too.
And being in the IT department, we don't think about it. You've got to have people now that work in the technology end of this as well. It's not just, I need to be able to weld or I need to be able to do this. You've got to have all of those parts coming together. So that is really awesome. That so let's talk a little bit about over the 60 years. Obviously there have been some cycles, as you said. Ag at sometimes, was not doing well or whatever. But what do you think contributes to Demco's success?
Really being open to look at opportunities. You'll see a picture here of Maurer Manufacturing. That's a second facility. We bought that in 2000. It came available. The prior owners wanted to retire off, and so in 2000, we purchased Maurer Manufacturing. They gave us an offering of products that expanded us in the ag at that time, as well as a manufacturing facility. And so some of our customers through the years have challenged some of our ability to be robust and have a backup plan. And so if something catastrophic were to happen to us in one location, what's our backup plan? And so part of our strategy in buying that was to have a second facility. So you'll see a picture here of an RV product. It's a fifth wheel hitch in the back of a pickup. It pulls fifth wheel campers. We are, as Kevin said earlier, we've a big part of our industry that we serve is RV aftermarket. And so this product helps serve that industry, as well as the two-wheel car caddy to flat tow, tow bars, base plates on vehicles, braking systems for vehicles, and then the fifth wheel hitches as well.
All that diversification, making that success possible. I love that. And then, of course, the employees as well. That's such an important part. Let's hear from another one of the employees about what it's like to work at Demco.
Working at Demco, I really like the fact that they push safety as their number one priority. And I also enjoy the other employees I work with. It's a great work family friendly environment. I think what sets Demco apart from other companies is the fact that we're an Iowa-based company and everything's built right here in the state of Iowa. Quality is right up there behind safety with us. We love to get customer feedback on our products to expand our product for the customers.
Love the fact that he said, and I also like who I work with. That's very important, isn't it? That you have a great work environment. Great to hear from him. We do have to pause for a quick break, but before we go, we are opening our phone lines. Kevin and Bob taking your calls tonight. That phone number, 877-731-6733. So give us a shout if you got any questions. And next, we're going to talk about how Demco is continuously improving and creating new products just for you. More Rural America Live with Demco when we come back. And welcome back to Rural America Live with Demco. You are an important part of this show. We would love to hear from you. Our phone lines are open, so give us a call, 877-731-6733. Now back to Kevin and Bob. And Kevin, I keep hearing about this concept of continuous improvement in its operations and processes. Exactly walk me through that. What does that mean?
Well, continuous improvement, you probably hear that spoken often with many. We've really taken that on as a necessary part of how we do business, to be honest. And it really becomes integral to what we are, who we are, and what we do.
Talk about, we're looking at some of the video here, I think, of the original location, or was that one of the other places there we saw that?
This is actually in the Spencer location that we're seeing right here.
Okay.
So you're walking through or seeing some of the welding operations, some of the fabrication areas themselves.
And would this be where, when we talk about that continuous improvement, it's operations and processes, you're putting that hands-on in what we're seeing here?
Yeah, many times when you think about continuous improvement, it becomes more evident or at least tried in some of the direct labor and production areas. And that's where you probably can see most of that visual improvement. But we want to expand it beyond that and really say, for the whole business itself, there is always areas of opportunity and waste that we can take out of the process. So to have our people be a part of that and really to live, eat, and breathe that every day is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, that way it's not just a one-time thing, it's daily.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
We have our first caller tonight. We have Bill from Minnesota. Welcome in. What's your question?
Hi, we've got two Demco 650s and a Parker and a Brent, and they have an inspection door, to take the pressure off so it opens easier, and the Demcos don't have that. I was just wondering why they don't have an inspection door. But I did see the new Brents also went to a one-piece door. They went away from it, and I just kind of wonder why it opened so much easier with that inspection door. Thank you.
I can probably get this one, Kevin.
Sure.
So we've had some dual acting doors in the past. Most of them have been on our smaller wagons. I believe you said you had a Demco 650 wagon. We've done pull tests on the handles from an engineering and a design aspect, and compared ours against many of the competition, and I would say that we're very comparable. There's moving parts that go along with the inspection doors or not. We're always open for customer feedback, and I hear this, and we'll go back to the plant and consider this moving forward. And so thank you for being willing to share that with us, and we'll take that under consideration for future improvement.
Part of the improvement right there, getting the input from one of the people already using the product. Let's go to Iowa now, and Eric. Eric, what's your question?
How much you give back to the local communities with your organizations for nonprofit or just anything like that?
Yeah, so Eric, we have a charitable foundation that as we're profitable, we strive to be profitable every year. And as we are profitable through the years, we do share those profits with our charitable foundation. And we give back in many different ways. We always look at faith as part of that, being involved in the community, number two, and education. And so kind of those are the three sectors that we look into often, not completely all the time, but those are the three drivers that really help us. And so, there's many dollars given back into the our communities, both in Boyden and in Spencer and surrounding areas annually.
One thing that I kind of thought of as that question, Eric, and a memory point for me, and Bob will remember this too, Jim and Ken instilled that in us and others as well, but you talk about profitable and the necessity to use some of those profits. There was a time where the business wasn't, and Jim and Ken chose to actually borrow money to actually give philanthropically to cause. So It just, that was a shining moment. And I guess it stuck in for us, as a memory point to say we need to take that to heart.
What an example, yeah, to pour into the community, be a good neighbor.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, that is a great story. Let's listen now to what Mark Nilles, the Vice President of Operations, has to say about the company culture.
Big focus we have would be on building teams and building people. So whether that's the purchasing team to overcome what they're dealing with, or our production teams. So and then that environment with building those teams is the focus on. Every day we talk about what we got to do to get better tomorrow. The challenge is always how do we augment more automation or more technology into different processes. So that's the side from operations. You see it from the side of development and engineering as well. But how we're bringing in, we have 9 robots. We have 3 cobots in here now working with us. Right now they're welding. But that's the kind of the smallest thing they can do. They will be a big part of our future in automation. And they take out the monotonous process. If we have a risk of injury, we can put a cobot in that place and the repetitive motions it can take care of. So we'll continue to focus on automation. There's a lot of team pride individuals throughout the company that, we're part of Big Demco, but I'm part of the welding team, or I'm part of in any kind of team. And I think that all is pride in what we build right here. So.
Fascinating to hear about the automation and how you're incorporating that. I want to talk more about technology and automation, but first let's go to Indiana and welcome Tony into the show. Tony, what's your question?
Well, I'd like to hear a little bit about the right-handed grain carts, unloading augers, plus and minuses about that.
So, yeah, the viewers, you can see that maybe in the background behind us this past fall. We have a farm that we use as a testing ground for many of our pieces of agricultural equipment as well. And that was a prototype that we built this past summer. It's a 1,500 bushel. We'll be coming with many different sizes in the dual auger carts. Right-hand unload is new to the industry. We depend heavily on customer feedbacks. And one of the talking points last year, we go to a show called Row Crop Exchange and sat down with many different growers. And because of that feedback and other customer feedback this past year, decided to get into the right-hand unload. And so in 2024, that will be available in 1,100 to 1,300 to 1,500, 17 and 2,200 bushel grain cart.
All right, yeah, we're going to talk a little more about what's coming in 2024 as well, but great to hear about that because I know that's been a popular item with that right hand. Talking about the new products, you've said you use input, you know what the need is, so you look at things like that, but really what goes into developing a new product for Demco?
Yeah, so the customer feedbacks are very important. We review those often. The development side of it is really taking those feedbacks and trying to understand what are the wants and the needs of our customers, and being dependent on being connected with the industry, and then going to the engineering team as well as the sales team and thinking about the concept. If we were going to make, whether it's an improvement to existing product or a completely new product, so then we'll get it into a conceptual state. Try to prove that out by going to the industry, exposing it some, although limited, and see if we're on the right track to meet those customers' needs. And then it goes to a prototype stage. And as we prototype it, we do field testing, and that's either live testing of the prototype or some model testing. And when I say model testing, that would be a computer-generated model. And there's what we call a FEA test, which is finite element analysis. And so we can do cycle testing of our models as we develop those on a CAD or computer-aided design. Once we feel confident in that testing, then we'll do a pilot run through production, and that will really prove out our processes. And there could be some improvement to the product before it goes to a full production run, based on what we learn with that limited build pilot run.
And that could be very time consuming, I'm assuming.
Yes, when you talk large products like some of the products that we have, that could be a multi-year development.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, we're going to go to Iowa again and talk to Mark. Mark, what's your question?
Hi, Kevin and Robert James. You guys are talking about, some of the great accomplishments you guys have had, from trailers to fertilizer equipment to everything like that. Sometimes the best teacher is failure. What is can you tell me what some of your failures are, some of your duds?
Well, you heard a new name. So, good evening, Mark. This is one of my cousins from Iowa.
Okay.
So hi, Mr. Mark Patza. And well, there's failures. We talk about it often at work. Let's learn from our failures. Let's not try to fail again. One example of maybe a failure from a product standpoint that came out a number of years ago was a large piece of equipment that was 3,500 bushels. It sat on the headlands of the field and would feed the transportation, whatever mode of transportation it was hauling product from the field to either farm or to town. And that product was called our Harvest Link. As I said, it was 3,500 bushels. And so you would collect the grain from the combine to the grain cart. The grain cart would deliver then to the Harvest Link. And then as the trucks would come, really a lot of that concept was based on being able to fill trucks as they were there. And so take that time element away from the transportation side. Some of the failure might have been ahead of its time. Some of it may have been the trying to put too much automation into it. And some of it was we started introducing that in about 2012, and so there were some tough years from 2012 to 2015, and so I think there were a lot of some dominoes that were played and were falling against us because of marketplace, but that would be just one example of a failure.
But hey, you bounce back from that, you learn from it, you move on. Right. And we always learn from our failures, or we hope we do. We do want to give the phone number once again. We'd love for you to be a part of the show, 877-731-6733. You are welcome to call in and ask some questions. Let's talk about those new agricultural products. What do you got coming out?
Well, some of them we can't talk about.
Oh, okay.
They haven't been released yet. No, so there's a number of them. We just talked about because of I believe it was Eric that called in asking about the right-hand unload, and so we're excited about right-hand unload grain carts in 2024. It'll range from 1,100 to all the way up to 2,200 bushel grain bushels. Capacity. Those are all in our dual auger carts, and so there's a floor auger as well as the unloaded incline auger. We've come with 600-gallon pull type sprayers. There's consistently keeping up with the and so that would be a 600-gallon that you're seeing on screen now of a rear mount, as well as SideQuest tanks, and so total gallon capacity of that spray system is 1,200. We've got the all-wheel steer for our combine head trailers, and that's a high-speed all-wheel steer trailer, so we're excited about that. The combine extensions, if you look on top of the combine, we add bushels to the combine capacity, and so with all of the new combines constantly coming out, there's many new fitments of extensions.
Obviously, putting the investment into coming up with these products and improving these products, it is taking time. It is taking money to do that. Why do that? How is this benefiting the farmer?
Efficiency is part of it. We talk about the capacities, and so as we didn't developed the extension on the combine just to add grain. It's really about efficiency and being able, so as the combines have gotten larger, the heads are getting larger, the yields are getting better. You need more capacity to be able to make it through the field and make that operation more efficient. And so it's almost always about efficiency of application, efficiency of process, and then just listening to the farmers and what they need. Exposing ourselves, being vulnerable, and asking those questions of, what are we doing well, what aren't we doing well, and learning from those mistakes.
And it looks like you guys too are doing a great job of helping get that product out of the field, and that's one of the important things. We've got to get it out of the field and to the grain bin or to the market, and you guys are helping with that as well.
One thing, Terry, to add to that, and we obviously have equipment that we have for the application arena too, but we feel that we have a pretty decent handle on some of those customer pain points or interest levels, because like Bob had said, we have aspects on the combine that we have accessories for, the grain harvest from the grain cart, and then even the over-the-road grain trailer. So we're touching a lot of points in through that harvest operation that we get visibility on, and we get to hear the feedback of some of how to gain those efficiencies that he spoke to too in a step-by-step process.
You're right. It's interesting to point that out, because I was raised on a cotton soybean farm, but until I became an adult, I didn't realize all of those points you're talking about and what it took for my dad to get that cotton or those soybeans out of the field. If he could have had Demco around while he was doing it, I know he would have been happy. Let's hear from J.C. Kerselman, and he's a fourth-generation management member on the changes in the marketplace.
Yeah, so the changes that we've seen in farming has been more of a move to the larger farms, traveling at a greater distance between farms. Also, bigger machinery coming from manufacturers as well. So what we've had to do is, with our header trailers, we've had to get longer and bigger header trailers, our all-wheel steers. We have done more and more with our all-wheel steer header trailers. Liquid tenders, so that's something that really drove us into the liquid tender semi-trailers, is a lot of the contract spraying that's being done by your elevators. Drone spraying is something that's been something that's getting more and more popular. So a lot of changes that we're seeing in the marketplace. Need for higher efficiency, moving product at a higher volume, less trips. So what we do with our side dump trailers is our XL high capacity kit to move manure, things like that for your cattle yards. Grain trailers, moving your material from the field to the elevator or back to your farm place. So yeah, seeing a lot of growing needs in the marketplace. So
Got to be a proud dad moment, huh?
Right. Yeah.
I know that makes you feel wonderful. He's so well-spoken, and I know the company is in good hands, talking about where you go from here, and that's part of, bringing in that other generation, is you've got to move it forward. Talk about the ever-changing market conditions. How do you evolve and keep up with everything?
Being connected with the industry, relying on our internal people and external people. And just staying, having a foot on the ground and ears on the ground. It's important to be connected, be involved in associations, go to trade shows. Like we talked earlier, ask questions. What are the things that you need? What are the things that you don't need? Being able to encourage some of those dream sessions with customers and us internally to say, while we don't necessarily know what the next product is today, if we could build the best of whatever, what would that look like?
Right. Great concept, great plan. That's why you guys are successful. We do have to pause for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We are still taking your calls, 877-731-6733. Bob and Kevin are answering all of your questions live, and we're going to talk more about the diversity of the products they have. More Rural America Live with Demco when we come back. Well, welcome back to Rural America Live with Demco. We got our phone lines open. We are taking your calls, answering your questions, 877-731-6733. On the line now, we have Wendy from Iowa. Wendy, what's your question?
Hi, Kevin and Bob. Hey, with all the bushels being harvested per acre now, how can you expand your life expectancy compared to your competition like Brent or Kinsey? What differentiates you from them?
Well, there's a number of things. The flighting that we use is an extended wear flighting. There's really, you have the flight that takes the wear, and you have the outer auger that takes the wear. And I would say that our customer feedback would be positive on the volume that our customers are running through their carts. So to be specific to say how long does ours last versus competition, I don't know that we can give you any specific answers to that. Some feedback would be helpful. And so as we have customers that do have other brands of products, if they would suggest that it lasts 5 years and they ran 1.5 million bushels or 3 million bushels through their cart before they needed replacement, and that would give us some information to go back to our customers and ask, the kind of wear and volume that they're running through their carts as well. Another thing that I would add to that is it really depends on what your ratio is of corn and soybeans, or if you get down into the rice areas. So there's some variables on that. We harvest a lot of high moisture corn on our farm, and high moisture corn is harder on a flighting system as well. And so there's things that we're testing all the time to try to get performance enhancement as well as longer life.
You're getting some on-farm testing, so you can get some feedback from that as well. Talk about an overview. The whole range of products you guys have, and we know your ag products are there, but like you've mentioned, you really cover a lot of ground, don't you? Mm-hmm. Talk about some of those other products.
Yeah, so as we've mentioned tonight, we're involved in a lot of different industries and are very diverse. We have RV aftermarket products, which range from fifth wheel hitches and pickups to tow bar systems that flat tow cars. We get into the recycling. You see that on the photo right now. And so that was a gondola trailer for the recycling industry. We have side dump trailers that they get into aggregate as well as hauling manure products. We have water tender trailers that haul fertilizer and or chemical and water, that tend sprayers. And so a lot of different products. Some are ag based, some are RV based. We have the trailer product, which range from, there's I think over 75 different models of couplers, ranging from 5,000 pound carrying capacity 2-inch ball couplers to 2 5/16 ball couplers up to 20,000 pounds. We have over 200 different applications of surge brake actuators, again ranging from 5,000 to 20,000 pound carrying capacity. And then we build trailers and two-wheel dollies for the one-way rental as well. And so the Penske trailers that you see behind one-way rentals, we've enjoyed a 40-plus year relationship with Penske and Budget. Really have built 100% of that product for the one-way towing.
That is an impressive range of products. So we're going to talk about keeping your brand cohesive with that big range here in just a second. But first, let's go to Bern from Tennessee. Bern, what's your question?
How many total employees do you have?
Sorry.
How many
repeat that.
employees?
Oh, employees. So we have about 450 total employees. 100, just over 100, 110 in Spencer, and then 330 to 340 in Boyden.
Talk about, you were going through this list of products, and they can range anywhere from ag to the trailer business to braking and different accessories. Do you have a problem keeping kind of the brand cohesiveness there with all of those different products?
We are on a much better track today. As we look back and through history, there was a time when we were giving probably a higher level of visibility on the model of the product and not the name Demco. And so if you look at the history of Demco and kind of through the 60 years, there's been about 6 different Demco in logo. It used to be script, and it was script really until 2017 when we came with our new logo. And a few reasons that we changed to the new Demco was in 2017. I had mentioned earlier in 2020 or 2000, excuse me, we purchased Maurer Manufacturing, and so we were running under 2 identities in the agricultural industry. One is Maurer Manufacturing, and one is Demco, and attending many trade shows as both. And so we had a little bit of a dual identity going on, and depending on the strength of whether it was Maurer or whether it was Demco, we would have people walk into the booth and say, "Oh, I didn't realize that Demco was part of Maurer, or that Maurer was part of Demco," and we just had a lot of maybe frustration and confusion in the marketplace. And so in 2017, we changed our logo. Everything went to Demco. Demco is the largest and the most prominent part of anything on any of our products today. And so I would say that brand identity since 2017 has become much more focused. Our marketing team tries to keep us on track with that as well. And so, yeah, there's a lot of focus on Demco.
Right. Keeping it focused on that.
Right.
And talking about that, we're going to listen to Demco's Director of Engineering, Luke Zweifel, as he expands on that topic as well.
In recent years, the design impact has been mostly affected by larger farmers, commodity prices. As farmers grow, they're getting into a more diverse line of equipment. Side dumps to say, it's being used for multi-purpose. It's for manure, composite, lime, fertilizers, dry fertilizers, rock, sand, just for general maintenance. And that's just normally not been used in the past. Those, and then liquid tenders, they are also being utilized more on the farmer level versus more commercially before. So as they're getting bigger, they're traveling more distances. As they travel more distances, they want to make their trips matter. So you talk about payload capacity. Each trip, they want every pound accounted for, because the more they carry the first time, the least it reduces the trips that they have coming forward throughout the year. The most challenging is trying to directly understand the customer's needs, and not only just the current needs, but maybe the ones that they haven't encountered yet. So we'd like to design for what they need to use in the current state, and then maybe going forward, what did you not think of? Well, how can we be the next innovative product out there for them? You don't know you want it until you have it. We want to respond to the farmers' needs, but we also need to respond to internal customers too. As the farmers want more equipment, we got to be quicker to make it. So as we're making these new products, we need to make sure we design it for manufacturability as well. So which would be our internal customer. So the better we can make it flow through the plant, the faster we can have it out there for the customer, and then the better price point we can actually put on it too.
Sounds like Luke is passionate about his job and being an engineer. Do you have like a team of engineers?
We do.
We do.
Yeah. In both locations, in Boyden and so.
Always working on something new.
Yeah, 20 plus engineers between manufacturing engineers and industrial, and then our design team.
Wow. Really,
Luke,
always something on the drawing board.
You know, he touched on that as far as the internal customers, and that's where the mechanical and the process engineers come into play. A little bit of what JC has been involved in too, just seeing how things can flow through to aid in that delivery process.
Right, because you guys do it at both those locations, right?
We do.
Very much an American USA company, USA made products. I love that part. 877-731-6733 if you want to call in. You have a question for Bob or Kevin about any of the products they have. They would love to talk to you. I want to talk to you because of the diversification and the different range of the products you have. How has that impacted Demco as a business? Have it kept you productive and competitive?
That's been a question that's been asked of us often. And a little bit like we talked about was the necessity to look beyond just the agricultural market. While that was certainly foundational for Demco, it became born out of necessity. And here we see an example of one of the first generation car caddies. And that was really brought to us by really a gentleman that lived in the ag industry, but was looking to move south in the winter during the winter months, and came with an idea. And so that was produced to Jim and Ken. There was a few of those built on the front end. And here we see an example of a coupler that's really tied to a hydraulic surge brake actuator. And again, that was born out of necessity and really out of frustration because the supplier was not able to bring us product in a timely fashion for some of the rental equipment and the brake-equipped tow dollies that we were producing at the time. So that was in the early 90s. So we today have kind of a four-legged stool that we would say diversity has helped us kind of become a foundational chair. And it being ag, RV aftermarkets, the trailer products like we see in the coupler or the actuators, and then the semi-trailer segment that we have in Spencer. And like Bob mentioned, we do have the contract manufacturing piece, which we do supply to the national rental firm as well. And that is really kind of born through the RV aftermarket that came about at that time too.
How do you actually decide what to work on? I mean, because you probably are given ideas almost daily.
Sure. There's return of investment, and so we look at that. At the beginning phases, we talked a little bit earlier about our design strategy and how we introduce products to the marketplace, and part of that is going through and doing an analysis on the front side and looking at what's our estimated annual to the marketplace and cost of product or project. And so return on investment is always one of those elements that we look at. It's not the only element. And then just really having a large enough team in place that we have the capacity to be able to continuously be innovative in the market.
In our last little minute that we have here, final thoughts. Talk about what you want people who saw this tonight in your last few seconds. Where do you want these people to go to find your products, and what do you want them to know about those products? Start with you, Kevin.
Sure. Well, obviously, the website at demco-products.com. I can't even say it, but you can see it on the screen there. But no, it'll give you the whole plethora of what we do, and a little bit about the company and who we are and what we're made of. Again, like Bob mentioned, and we've discussed the aspect of family, faith, and fun being integral to what we do.
All right. 15 seconds. What do you want people to walk away with?
If we don't have what you need, please share. And we'll look whether it's in the ag sector or the other industries that we provide products to.
That's where the next great product's coming from, right?
Right.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes,
and thank
thanks,
you for
Terry.
joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.